Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are back with an ongoing campaign here on the channel called Thunder Ridge. It says it right there in the corner. I think you probably saw it before we went live, too. This is a fantasy western campaign. So this takes place in a homebrew world of mine called Caldera, which is very heavily based on all of the tropes from westerns, but with a healthy blending of fantasy. So this is still Dungeons and Dragons 5e, with a few homebrew rules here and there. But yeah, this has been a fantastic story so far. I love running the game for this group of players. It got a little heated last time. I'm sure nothing will come from that, and everything will be perfectly copacetic, and no trouble whatsoever. But this is session 11 of this ongoing campaign, and this is going to be titled Beasts of Burden. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and give the same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my games, and that is if foul language and mature subject matter are a problem for you, as well as immature humor, then you should not spend any time here at all. You have wasted the time you have had and the time you have taken to reach this point. You should turn around and go back. I have permission slips from all of these people. What else? What else? I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, say what they might have going on, tell you where you may be able to find them on the internet if that applies, and then I think we can get started. So we are going to start with Chatamus Prime.
Hello there, Internet. Hi. If you're seeing my face, this means that once again, Jeremy has coerced me into playing on this channel by absolutely nothing but his gentle giant self saying, hey, buddy, come over and hang out for a day and just play a game with friends. And that's everything I ever wanted. Yeah, I play not Lucky Laz, as it says on the thingamabob down below me, but I play now Virgil Toontown. I'm a Volturin warlock, and it has been a minute, so I genuinely forgot the last thing that we did. But no matter what we are doing, whether we're getting rowdy or whether we're trying to lay low, I do know that this posse is my posse, and I'm very, very thankful that all of you are here. And gosh dang it, y'all, let's get rowdy.
All right, yeah, I had to fix the overlay. Sorry about that, gang. Now that I've jostled you around a little bit. Next up is Nathan.
I'm Nathan, Dimension 119. That's where you can find me. I'm not super active on my own stuff at the moment, but I am very active over on YouTube at the State of Survival podcast. We talk about survival video games, cover all kinds of different mechanics in survival video games. We recently did a month and an extra week worth of base building videos talking about base building in various different survival games, and we're definitely getting ready to tackle a couple of new survival games in the rest of the year. We've got several cool games coming out that we're prepping up for. We're kind of getting into some play tests that we can't necessarily discuss yet, but that'll get us ahead on some of these new games when they do come out. And you might have to check State of Survival podcast first to get some of the better information from not me, the experts, but the other guys on the channel are the experts. I'm just there for eye candy. But I am here playing Dusty Reynolds, the one-armed coyote. I, unlike Chad, was not coerced to be here. Jeremy simply mentioned that well, I guess I actually mentioned to Jeremy that I was craving some more Caldera, and somehow he talked these guys into letting me join. So yeah, now I hope I'm not playing one of the Beasts of Burden, but considering that we're all beast kind, that may reference us. I don't know if any of you guys thought about that, but
figured it was a bestiality reference.
I might have thought about it. Yeah, it's all for all you furry folks out there.
Across your lap.
Bluffing and stuffing was the original concept for this.
It's true. Yeah, somehow this became a game full of furry characters.
Somehow.
Somehow. I'm not really sure how that happened.
Hill
That's where
the
we landed.
Berry.
Last I checked, it was like the 4th time this has happened in your game. It was actually in the instructional stuff.
It's true. Must be
like,
an animal
pick
person.
An oddball race. Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's. I mean, I could have gone with Mind Flayer, and this would have changed the entirety of the play. But
hey, it's young. We're only in session 11.
I wanted to play an animal, and I think that's legitimately what kicked everything off.
Mm-hmm. I think a couple people started it, and then everybody was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if?" And
wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Oh yeah, thanks.
No, I'm here for it. It's been an incredible ride so far. I cannot wait. Next up is Todd.
I am Todd. I'm playing Elias Stock. I am a Owlin sharpshooter, and I'm not really on the socials as far as public goes.
Absolutely understandable. There's lots of days where I think that would probably be a good idea for me.
I mean, I am for you guys, but not
thank
the
you.
general public.
Right. You have to keep your fans to a limited number.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise they won't appreciate, the furriness.
Exactly. All right, next up is Glenn.
Hey, I am Glenn. I am playing Marco Esquandolas, the Tabaxi Bard, formerly Saul, who is now no longer with us. So if you're joining us without watching the last few episodes, why? That's weird. You should probably go back and do that. That seems stupid. But otherwise, you'll know where we're at with it. I'm like Todd in that if you find me on the socials, why? Again, like a little creepy. And if you want me to find you on the socials, you probably should find me in real life. But outside of that, challenge is on, and I will see you in the game.
Hell yeah. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have Other Chat.
Ooh, that's me. Thought I was gonna play Virgil today. That would have been cool, like a nice little like switcheroo deal. But all right, I'll.
Hey, I was ready to play Lucky. I was 100%. Like, if you said, "Hey guys, change up," you have to play different characters. I would have been like, "Cool, let's ride. I'm good."
It's a good concept. Like, make your characters and show up, and then you're not playing your character. You just made a character.
You had a concept. I hope you enjoyed that. You don't get to play that though.
Actually, that might be kind of funny for our next group game. Every episode we randomly
swap
play
characters.
Character. Yeah,
that would be hilarious.
Like a Freaky Friday type thing where you are your character. You're just put into that person's body or something.
So, next game is Kids and Bikes.
Ooh.
Whatever setting, and we can have a Freaky Friday episode.
Wait, Glenn, did you just say kids in bikes? Like it's a Transformers level? Transformers level thing?
Not like in. I mean, I would do kids and bikes too. Better than bikes and kids.
Centaurs.
Bike kids.
It's like speedbike.
Animorphs.
GoBots.
GoBots. As I say, I'm pretty sure I had a GoBot that was essentially a bike.
Amazing. Yeah, it's funny that you should mention that because last week I was playing a character who was in a different character's body playing kids on bikes. So yeah, it's a great idea. Somebody should do that.
I'm playing Lucky Laz. Last I checked. Just not always so lucky or fortunate. And I'm the other Chad. And we're here to roll some dice. Oh, and you haven't checked out Absolute Tabletop in any form of socials. You won't probably find me active on those, but I'm there somewhere. Check out Absolute Tabletop, and you could like get into games like this, or run your own, or just converse with people about stuff like this. So, and that's me. Thank you.
Hell yeah, dude. All right. I think we're ready to get started. Everybody else is ready to go. Let me make sure I have the right thing loaded in the chamber here. I think I do. Yeah. Yay me. Okay. When you pick a fight with the biggest man in the saloon, your first instinct might be to accept a hand from anywhere you can get it. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, as the saying goes. But help is rarely given for free. And when your back is against the bar, you might be too hasty to bother asking what price you're going to have to pay for help from some folks. Just because someone is friendly when you're facing down a big mean bear, it sure as hellfire don't make them your friend. We see the snow-covered mountain that surrounds the town of Thunder Ridge. The snows have been relentless, would be a good word for it. This high of an altitude, it takes nothing for snow to start to fall once again. And the trek that you now make back to town, though a short distance on horseback from your hideout, seems painfully long. Once you get away from the fire that you had at the old Castilian mission, the true cold of this winter really started to take hold. It doesn't matter how many layers you have, it doesn't matter how tough your character is. This wind is howling through these mountains and is cutting you straight to the bone. So as you make your way back to town, I believe there were two groups that were doing so. In the vanguard, if you will, the front representation of the group, I think it was Virgil and the new kid, Marco, who were heading in first. And then the other three of you bringing up the rear. So as you're making your way into the town of Thunder Ridge, is there anything that is being said, or is there anything that your character's doing, or that we see your character doing in the meantime?
For my group, I won't be saying anything, but before we get to like eye shot of town, or, while we're still somewhat there, I am going to put on basically the Castilian robes, the dressed down version, and not my normal, attire. And if I have a spare set, that even if it doesn't fit Virgil, I will throw over Virgil, assuming that people don't really pay attention to clergy moving through town.
Virgil, how do you take having essentially cleric vestments kind of tossed around your shoulders?
Oh man. I think Virgil, they're riding alongside, and it's been a very quiet ride. It's unusual because like Virgil with the rest of the posse would typically be pretty vocal. He would be a little bit more in a leading position, but here is this new person, this new tabaxi, who has like basically scratched their way into the same interests that we have, but he held up the party at gunpoint. And so there's a lot of things that like are going through Virgil's head, but then Marco sort of reaches over and adorns Virgil with these is it the lucite vestments, right? of the clergy?
Mhm.
Like, is it lucite
yeah, I
vestments?
believe so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's this moment where he like almost glared, like he's glaring basically at Marco of like, I choose my virtue. I choose like my thing, like the fact that you're residing me to this, because it I know why we're doing it, but I don't like it. So there's like this slight glare, but he clamps his beak and stays silent for the ride. He kind of fully adorns the vestments, and even probably if you have a secondary hat, because usually Virgil is known for like that wide brimmed like Undertaker's cap. So if you have a clergy uh cap in any sort of way, Virgil
I-
would take his off, astride it on uh the horse, and then uh place the lucite cap on instead, like
Yeah,
fully endorsing the mask.
I kind of envision it more similar to the robes that like you would envision sort of the southwestern monks in, the old brown and white, but with Lux probably not brown, more of a white and gold, or yellow
Probably
or
like
whatever. With
maybe even navy.
yep, something with just more of a brighter color to it. But yeah, so I'm figuring that, so hood up, and then silence will be your friend to you and I. So perhaps maintain this, and then turn. We were headed to the current Castilian church in Thunder Ridge, where I think we had established that I would have stopped by there on the way out. So that's not that they don't know who I am, but
Hmm.
they may not know all of the details of what I'm there for or whatnot.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So as the vanguard nears the outskirts of town, a few miles further back up the trail, we see the other three of you. Is there anything being said or that we see your characters doing as you're making your way up towards the city?
I don't think that we ever set specific plans for what we're gonna do when we get to town. Um, we, if I remember right, we don't think most of us have the possibility of being connected to the recent killings in town. Um, there may be a couple of us that have a pretty good connection, and I believe we talked to the sheriff or tried to get out of it in the first place. But I know that was some concern last session. But did we
We
ever
tried
officially
to
make plans?
we tried to weasel our way out, because I remember Soul and Virgil making a pact for that with the sheriff. But then when the sheriff went to investigate the actual shootout, there were black feathers from Virgil that were still left behind from when he got shot with the shotgun. So it's like there's portions of her that are speculative of like Virgil's intentions.
Right. The sheriff knows that Virgil was in the fight. That's the only one that they know was in the fight.
Yep, because I was the only one that left evidence. Gosh dang it.
And I intercepted, or not Saul intercepted the sheriff and then came back with her. That's when the feathers were found. And that's when it was like, well, let's see what we can find out. And then we dipped out of town, cut a deal with the loggers, and then I died.
I don't know that Dusty has anything to say then if we don't really have official plans on what's happening other than us a meeting at the church. But I do think he's having this inner monologue of possibilities and what could happen if we show back up in town and things have kind of turned the other direction against us with the sheriff and the killings and everything. He's trying to decide what actions are worth taking and are worthy of taking, and what actions he's willing to take if it comes to that.
And you know as well that the sheriff is not the only one in town who may be an issue. Laz has somebody from his past who has shown up in town that Dusty has had a run-in with. The Reclaimer is what he is. And his name is Kai Trophy Morgraph. Captain Morgraph. Is a giant turtle with pieces of Laz and other people nailed to his shell. Lovely fellow. Yeah, so you ride on. Is the plan for the second group to also arrive at the church just sometime later?
I had it as we were like trying to break off, and maybe one group was a little bit more infiltrating, trying to sneak there, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Is the intention of the secondary group then to try to sneak your way to the church?
It might be more beneficial if Virgil's group was the one to do that, considering he may or may not be wanted at this point, depending on what has been decided while we were gone.
What you don't know is that my riding partner has decided to dress me in lucite vestments.
Well, what we did know was we were taking Virgil back to dip in because the intent was to go see the sheriff even with Virgil.
Okay.
Right. Eventually. But the concern, I think, was Lucky and the turtle.
Yep.
We all need to enter town quietly and unnoticed. That's what I'm
Pretty
hearing.
much. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for me, because I haven't done anything wrong, because I'm an angel.
It sounds like maybe you even waited until like nightfall so that there's less people out and about, less chance that there's going to be prying eyes. Okay. So you make your way to the town of Thunder Ridge. Virgil and Marco are the first to kind of enter the town proper. You're riding down Main Street, and there's not a lot of people around. This storm is probably largely to blame. Anybody that you do see is definitely bundled up, collar upturned, coat like layered as thick as they can in the front, hat pulled down tight over their ears as they move from one building to another. But there's nobody that is languishing outside. Nobody is spending any more time out here than they need to, and you completely understand why. You yourself cannot wait to get out of the cold. And ahead of you, kind of at the end of the main street, you see the small, quaint little church that has been built. And you can see the telltale sign of the sword of Luz, which looks, for us as an audience, very reminiscent of a cross. And you can see that there is a little bit of candlelight that looks like it's kind of being thrown from the far back of the building. So the building is lit from the interior, but dimly so as you approach.
Do I know who is the current resident?
Yeah, since you said that you had been here before.
I would figure that with that character going through Thunder Ridge, they would have stopped in, established contact before going anywhere else.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So you know that the preacher at this church is a man by the name of Father Darnilfu. Obviously, Father would be his title. Darnilfu is given name. He is a half-elf who is blind. An older gentleman, but he apparently has the capability of seeing through the eyes of his flying squirrel companion that he keeps with him kind of at all times. His flying squirrel's name is Nai-Ulmereth, which translates to breeze in the canopy.
Nai-Unreth. You
Yeah, I'll
love
drop
giving
it.
me easy things to spell. I already created whatever I wanted to create. So.
Somebody may be nerdy enough to have a fucking spreadsheet with Elven lexicon in it. Maybe.
So yeah, I think we'll go staying quiet again, especially, well, let me rephrase that. Not being stealthy with the horses or with my attack or anything, knowing that he's blind, right? But not like screaming out or anything. I would take to like tying the horses up probably in the back of the chapel or wherever we have space for it, and then waiting till we open the door to announce ourselves. In case Chad wants to ditch anything or do anything before we go in.
The only thing that I will ditch, just in case it draws any attention to anyone else, probably not to, or spooks the flying squirrel, the skull of Uptun Kone will not be coming into the church with me. I'm 100% sure that I would leave that in one of the side satchels so it's not on my person floating around me while we're in the church.
Maybe good to not wear that ever.
It's a long story, but it kind of needs to stick with me. I don't know why, but genuinely, sometimes it's better that he's here. But looking at the church, he kind of looks up. His beak like does that like clicking sound like that, like a heron or like a flamingo might do. Yeah, best we leave this here for now. And he kind of walks over to one of the horses and takes the skull and plops it into one of the satchels, and it just sort of like sits there, cinched up, but kind of like floating against the side pocket. And he'll look to Marco. All right, as long as my wings don't burn up walking into this thing, I think we'll be all right.
Oh, Virgil, rest assured, our benevolent radiance cares not about you or your skull. Come. We'll go in. Padre.
He tries his best to portray a man of the cloth to the best of his ability.
Father Danilfu.
Push open the doors and you enter, immediately feeling slightly warmer. And you can see a figure huddled at the far end by a small wood-burning stove in a chair. And though he is familiar already somewhat to you, Marco, this is your first time having seen him, Virgil. He takes a phone call. So you see an elderly half elf with a beard that is mostly gone white, like his eyes. And he bears a tattoo on his forehead that is not really a Lucite symbol. This is something older, more closer than to probably Dorathian beliefs. And somewhere in the rafters above, a flying squirrel is skittering around chasing mice, is what it seems like. As you enter, the old man, seated by the meager fire, kind of rubbing his hands together for warmth, blanket pulled over his shoulders, kind of turns half back towards the door, and he says, "Oh, you've returned.
Yes.
And
And not
you found-
alone.
You found what you were looking for, I suppose?"
Not yet, but I found. Well, I found a lost chick. I should say. I have a small
Another brother
flock.
of the cloth, I see.
Perhaps aspiring member, but
Hmm.
one who's not yet taken any vows. The clothing was for warmth on the way in.
I see. Luzite's
Other-
embrace does offer warmth, no doubt. It is always good to see new members come into the fold. Luzite's arms stretch wide.
I'm happy to hear you say such things, because we should have 3 more, or 2 more, 3 more, or 2 more, 3 more, 3 more arriving within a few hours. So,
He kind of turns the rest of the way around in his like small little wooden chair, and there's genuine surprise on his face. You found so many who are welcoming Luzite into their hearts already.
it is cold, and when people find themselves with nowhere else to turn, where else do they go? They seek us and the light. To
I
my
do not know.
surprise, I found the old mission, and within it, I found a series of helpless, hapless, lost ragamuffins, I suppose you'd say, near death and without much hope. What can we do?
Sometimes the hope is all we've got.
To that end, though, he doesn't talk much, but is able-bodied and can do any work you need around here, no matter how trivial or painful it may be.
Ah,
Virgil's giving you a look like, you some bitch. If you try to down talk me right now, I will ruin this for us. Like, but
wonderful.
he's like, Virgil's looking around the room, and you can kind of hear his tongue clicking inside that beak. Like, it's like that nervous tick you get when a man, he's an undertaker, but he is definitely not a man of the cloth. And so there's like this nervousness from a criminal standing in a holy house. This is well, it's, I really do appreciate your hospitality. Yes,
Of course, of course.
Me and my brethren, who you shall meet momentarily. We were out in the cold all by our lonesome until your cleric here found us freezing out there. So I genuinely appreciate the hospitality to let an old bird his menagerie bring himself to a proper pulpit.
He nods and he puts his hands on the arms of this chair and kind of like raises himself up to standing. You can tell it takes considerable effort for him to do so. He turns with a little bit of a stoop, and he makes his way over to you. His boots kind of shuffling across the wooden floor. Well, I'm afraid pews don't make very comfortable bedding, but you are welcome to them as long as you'd like. I can't remember the last time I had 5 souls inside this building all at the same time.
And I think Virgil would look to you, Marco, for just a moment and say, well, he's saying this to the preacher, but like looking at Marco to let Marco also understand that like you need to understand who you are also now partying with. Like, please watch why you're here with us, like, or what value we have. Because as far as I remember, Marco was like, why wouldn't I just kill all of you? Why wouldn't this just happen? So I think that now that we've come together and we are looking at an alliance, I think Virgil's wanting to still remind Marco of who genuinely leads this posse by trying to really emphasize the things that he can bring to the party. And he would like look at the preacher when saying this. Well, it is only because of the holy power of your disciple here that brought this light so radiant in our time of darkness. So I really must say, it may not be a large church by any means, but it surely shines brighter than any of the others out here. And he like pats the hand of the preacher and you can feel those talons that have long grown sharp, very gently pat this old man's hand, like an undertaker or a funeral director giving those rites. So very gently, very gingerly, but then he's just going to be looking around and eyeing the church with just a gentle disdain at the moment.
He nods along, like as you're giving this kind of testament, in the way that only somebody who is of a similar faith does, and he just kind of shakes his head, as if you're preaching straight fire, and says, "Luzite be praised. I am happy that you found your way here, and that we will have each other to spend company with in this foul weather. I will be happy when your friends arrive. If you wouldn't mind, I am a little bent towards the floor, as they say. Firewood is a little difficult for me to carry, as the meager amount I was able to bring in from our stores was only enough for, well, to be honest, it wasn't even really enough for one man. Would you mind kindly bringing in a few more bundles? Maybe we can spread the warmth of Luzite's love."
Of course, absolutely. And he'll begin to go outside, and as he goes outside, he'll like look to Marco and kind of motion for him to follow, unless he has other plans.
I'll put a finger up for a moment, like letting you know I'll be there in a minute, kind of a deal. To speak to the father real quick, and then once Virgil leaves, Padre, I fear, to be honest, the gentleman will be joining us this evening. Well, Sister Elsa has a saying, yes, pew, you mentioned pews being uncomfortable. Sisteros often says that when given the choice between a pew and a casket, the pew seems much more comfortable. So we find ourselves in a situation where these men will be performing a service to the church, but I do not trust them.
They're outlaws. Yes.
Yes. Usable ones at this point.
Many of the people that come to Thunder Ridge are outlaws in one way or another. He kind of like lets that hang for a long moment, running from something. But if they found their way here, then it is by Luzite's grace.
Indeed. And as we often say, our laws supersede those of man anyways, do they not? So, I appreciate your support in this endeavor, but we look to be out of your hair soon.
Well, if this storm keeps up, I don't know that anybody's going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Then perhaps I should make arrangements to introduce myself to our local authorities. Tell me what you know of the system. Perhaps you would arrange an invitation with the sheriff, whoever he may be.
Well, I would say that wasn't a problem at all. Me and the sheriff got along pretty well. But, Cyril's no longer the sheriff in Thunder Ridge. There's a new sheriff in town, I'm afraid, and I know this one a lot less than I know Cyril.
Who now holds that office, and what happened to the former sheriff? Cyril, you say?
Cyril. Yes. Cerylician Donastasia, she's an elven woman. Fine woman. But, she's, I think she's still in town. I don't think she's gone anywhere. I don't know where she could go if she wanted to. But she's no longer in the sheriff's office. No, I'm afraid, that's a man by the name of, what was it? Bennett. Oscar Bennett was his name. He was introduced to me, but briefly so. Mere formality, I feel.
Wonderful. I may need to meet with both, but we'll speak more on it later. For now, I think I should help our friend find the firewood.
I'll put on some coffee, he says, and he kind of shuffles back towards the stove.
And then I'll fill Virgil in on. I'll basically ask Virgil though, like, so he said it was Bennett was his name?
Yeah, Oscar Bennett. Both of you could roll a history check if you'd like.
I don't know what my history is. Not good. We'll see how it goes. Oh, that was cheap. It didn't roll. I'm not going to count that 20. All right, so dirty 20.
I got
Okay.
a natural 20 for a 20.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
All right. So apparently, Oscar Bennett is fairly well known. And there's probably good reason for that. He is known as a pretty ruthless outlaw in his own right. Somebody who is probably shot people in the back more than once. And has a list of people he has killed whose names are known. but he's also been known to play turncoat when it suits him. So not a really really a person that has a lot of standards, if you will.
Well, why would they make Bennett the sheriff? Who would have put Bennett in place? It don't make no sense to me.
Who has coin?
The rail yard, I guess, but or some. Would one of your folk have come out that far and paid for something like that?
Put it bluntly, I don't see the Castilian Empire giving two shits about this town.
Well, maybe that's why I like it. It's out of the way. It's quiet. You can do your business and not have anything bother.
It was.
But that seems to be not the case anymore.
If it was, I wouldn't be here. But it does seem the railroad most likely put them in charge. Them being in charge means that they're either bought or can be. The question is the previous sheriff. Someone to spin up leverage against the new sheriff?
Well, beforehand, we did sort of, Soul and I had crafted a bit of a partnership between the two of us. Honestly, she's not in a position of power. Maybe that's better for us. Because I don't know if she was coming after us or if she was actually going to befriend us. But this is maybe I should go talk to her, see what drums up. But
Imagine while y'all are having this conversation outside, you can see the other three like approaching, riding up the main street of town.
Yep.
They
And
didn't
I'll
abandon you.
kind of raise a talon. Nope. No, they didn't. Loyal to the end. That's what I'm very thankful to them. They stuck around this long.
I'll just hand them each firewood and tell them to go see the squirrel when they go inside.
Go see the squirrel, not the pastor holding the squirrel. Go see the squirrel.
Well, the squirrel's what he sees through.
Yep, that's true.
Assuming somebody shares the information that has been
Virgil
learned
would,
with the new,
and then also kind of try to get a Virgil would, and kind of try to get a read off of the rest of the posse as far as like what do they think that would mean for us now that Seraph is not the sheriff anymore.
I think Dusty's first concern is that he brings up is whether this sheriff is actually working for the railroad. I mean, that's the assumption, and that's a pretty good assumption. But I think that's kind of finding that out as our first concern before we jump to any other judgments about the previous sheriff or whether we need to use her for leverage or see if she has any leverage or anything like that.
So far though, gentlemen, this nice old preacher has allowed us to use this space. So
let's not look a gift horse in the mouth, and let's take every opportunity to use this as our cover.
Well,
Roger.
I
ahead.
will take my share of the firewood in and see what we can't do about getting some warmth for us. And then I think with this new development, we may need to actually come up with a plan or alter our plans. This new sheriff could either be a much worse problem for us or could be beneficial to our previous concerns.
All
Well,
right.
the only way to know is to go visit him. So I imagine after this, maybe we'll at least scout out, see what his whole process is.
Okay, so it sounds like settle in and then try to reach out and contact either one or the other or both of the sheriffs, the new
the
as
dude.
well as the previous.
I I think I think Dusty's thoughts is not to contact the new sheriff, but to at some point try to like get the feel of the town about what's happened without confronting the new sheriff directly if possible. And at least
Yeah.
until we kind of gauge the temperature, quote unquote, of the town.
If I may, the sheriff isn't your concern, is it? Your concern is a turtle with a chunk of lucky on him. No offense.
Well, yes, that, but if this if our uh fix for Virgil's problem with the shootout has been negated by the new sheriff, and the new sheriff is also looking for Virgil, we should probably know that as well.
I don't know him well, but if I know Bennett, I suspect you could either pay him or maybe kill for him.
I'd be willing to do the latter if need be.
Let's keep that attitude.
Yep.
Be clear, gentlemen. I brought you in and offered assistance thinking we would be needed to help each other out. To put it bluntly, I'm here hunting. Intend to stay. Bennett's immaterial to me. If you can move the streets freely and hunt, all the better.
Well, I'm just thinking that a certain bird can't hunt if he's in a cage.
You kind of pat your shoulder when you say that. I think we'll be all right. But you're right to have that concern. But if he's here and referring to, at this point, he's now referring to Morgrath. I'm worried the longer we stay fixed to this spot, at some point, more than Morgrath is going to show up. And, well, I don't know if we're prepared for that more. But we need to be.
I'm counting on it.
Well, as far as I'm concerned about staying in this spot, I just need a bit of a rest to collect myself, and then a direction. And I will limber my considerable talents one way or the other.
You are a confusing lot. One minute you want to hunt, the next you want to leave. I thought you wanted to kill the railroadman. You're muted. I appreciate the sticking character like I asked you to on the way in, but you can talk now.
We do. We do want to kill the railroad. It's just all right. No, you're fine. He kind of like ruffles his feathers behind his head after he carries the last firewood in. You're right, Marco. We agreed. We did. You're right. We should be hunting the railroad. So kind of like doesn't understand why he's feeling this apprehension or this way, but he is residing now to find a way to make this town like their stronghold, and if something's going to go down, I want to work toward building Thunder Ridge as like that stable point for ultimately a showdown or a standoff that will hopefully eventually happen through whatever actions we take.
To be clear, by leaving this spot, I thought we were referring to the church itself and not actually Thunder Ridge. I didn't think we had planned on vacating this entire area. I just didn't think that we were planning on sleeping on pews and potentially bringing harm to the church by staying here for an extended period of time.
Excellent point. I must say I'm new to town, so I don't know anywhere else to stay. I'm going to go on a limb and say you've probably burned every brothel in town.
There's a real nice abandoned mission outside of town we could stay in.
I suspect it's not quite warm enough at this point.
Do we remember? I don't remember. Do we remember if Primrose is still like?
Oh, you need to tell her that Saul's dead.
Oh,
you haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
as far as you know, she's still at the Queen's Block.
Yep, 100%. She's still there. That was something I think we were waiting for the end of this episode for you to have to deal with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can deal with that later.
Joking.
It's fine.
I was just joking. I don't know of any places, but I remember Saul knew of a place that we could go to.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
from our first episode,
he kind of like looks to Dusty. Well, we could go visit with Primrose. We could do that. I'm sure she would hold us up if need be. We still got to tell her. But otherwise, and I think he's like, what did Soul say? Where are the other places in town? Like, would there be other places in town that potentially they could hold up in there, Jerry? Or
there is a hotel.
The Queen's Block, like Rudy.
Yeah, the Queen's Block is not actually a place that has like rooms for let. The idea is that it's a saloon and gambling house with billiards upstairs, quote unquote. But there are no billiard tables. So yeah, any of the beds that are in the Queen's Block are not really there for sleeping in necessarily.
Yep. Okay.
There is a hotel in town, but you all would remember that Captain Morgraff and his friends are staying there.
Are currently staying there. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Question for you, Jeremy, on my faith. I need you to explain my faith. Is there friendliness between the railroad and the church, or is is it just like sort of meh, or is there as much contentment? I don't think there's as much contentment as my little subset has, realizing that my sect is very anti-railroad.
So
I'm trying to
the
actually get a feel if this father gives a shit about what me and my order do or not.
okay.
Based on the pseudo heretical marking on his forehead, the obvious nature magic, and like other parts of it, I'm not going to be upset if he's not a man of significant faith, but you know what I'm saying. I'm an inquisitor
Right.
by
Oh yeah.
nature.
Yeah, he would definitely fall outside of any kind of strict dogmatic examination. But you also would probably understand that that's not rare out in the Caldera. That a lot of people came to the faith by less than traditional means, and they have storied pasts oftentimes. Sometimes even, meeting and blending of faiths in some people. And that's kind of what seems to be the case with Father Darnilfu, is he definitely seems to have a lot more of a druidic kind of sensibility to him, but that he is very much still a man of Luz. As far as the railroad goes, the railroad itself is probably seen by the church as a pretty useful tool, just by everybody. But the Mage Barons themselves, the ones who are actually the ones who own the various rail lines, are arcane spellcasters, and they do not give the proper reverence to divine magic users, especially not from the point of view of divine magic users. So, if that answers your question.
Yep, that's
Okay.
what I needed.
Good.
That'll help me with the next section. Sorry.
Okay, so it sounds like there is still a meeting with the old sheriff that needs to happen, or no?
Yeah, Marco would be asking the father where the old sheriff's domicile would be at this point, because I plan to make a meeting with. We had targeted trying to arrive at dusk or at nightfall when we were trying to come into town, so we would
Okay.
be a little bit more hidden,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly from our last.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to avoid
Yes.
prying eyes and things.
Yep. And so I would be looking to basically greet her in the morning, so to speak. Make a house call is what Marco's thoughts for the team, so we can go above board and move quickly if we wish to, is that like the change of sheriff is nice for you all on that one. And it definitely feeds into my motivations. So I'm good with it. But I will wait basically for the father to leave and then lay out to the group essentially that, Marco's here to hunt, and he's only here because the railroad's coming. So my intent is to I want us to be set up to hunt in town but not be in town, if that makes sense. So from the group, I would definitely need the brainstorming of where we go so that we can not be reliant on staying in town. And it feels like the mission is potentially burned now that we have the opening to the claim below it and have bled our way out through that. And there was no safe, right? It was a vault, and we opened the vault that was there, and that was the access that was sealed before. So we're not missing anything
Correct.
there that I'm
Correct.
aware of. I don't know if you guys ever picked up the money you had buried there, but that's between you all. I'm a man of the cloth. I don't need cash.
I know that they at
Gets me
least
indoors.
dug it up. Where it went after that, I am not certain.
I'm pretty sure we took it all because I vaguely feel like I remember there being some conversation about how to potentially quote unquote launder it through the church itself somehow.
That's right.
I know part of it you had laundered through the local Dorathian tribe. The one where the spirit guide led you.
And for ease of game, did you guys catch me up basically on what you were doing so far? We did that in the other one, right? So it seems to me then that we have a few things that need to be addressed. Old sheriff, I think that's myself, and I'll leave it up to any of you if you wish to go have. If you think she'd be happy to see you. New sheriff. Never met Bennett. Don't really care to. Could be problematic. Sounds like. Any chance the loggers run into you all? Didn't you cut a deal?
We did. But then when we found out that back passage came up the other way and didn't have to interact with them. So yeah, I think maybe we at a certain point they will come looking for us if they think our body's dead.
Oh, bodies. What did you do with Saul? We bury him or you got him on the back of a horse?
He kind of like motions behind to the back of the horse.
We buried him.
We did bury him.
We buried him
at the mission. Yeah,
Yeah, at
buried
the
him
mission.
at the mission. Yep.
I think our first point of business then is finding a place to go if we're not going to stay in town, since our previous place is not a viable option anymore. And then a little bit of information gathering, and then hunt.
The church is good probably for a few days if we don't show our heads out. Well, you all don't poke your heads out much. And don't just walk out as like 5 monks. Everybody knows this church doesn't have 5 monks. Raise more attention.
Okay. So it sounds like for this evening at least, the plan is to just lay low. Possibly just sleep here in the pews, on the floor, what have you. And then maybe
Marco's
sort
going to
out.
get a room. Because no one knows Marco. So Marco's going to go
Fair
get
enough.
a room.
Yeah, you can absolutely head over to the saloon. I am positive it has a name.
Hotel. The hotel.
The hotel,
right?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'm positive it has a name. I'm sure that I have it written down somewhere.
So I shall sup at the hotel and look for information, see who's there, do the standard like information gathering, but nothing, just basically sitting around, the puffing and stuff.
I cannot think of a Wild West hotel and not picture E.B. Farnham from Deadwood.
Deadwood's great.
The way he's written is fantastic. Okay. So it sounds like for the evening, everybody's just kind of take it easy, bed down. And then in the morning, it sounds like Marco is going to go meet with the ex-sheriff.
If anybody wants, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anybody else planning on doing that with Marco or other plans? Question mark.
I feel like Virgil shouldn't. As much as Virgil's curious as to why she's gone from the position, if she was suspicious of him in any way, I don't think he would want to put himself in like implication space. So maybe he doesn't do that currently. But otherwise,
I mention you?
I mean, you can. You can mention me. I don't think that that'd be a problem, but maybe just don't mention where I am.
Fair.
Listen, this is gonna sound like a crazy question, considering that we're all of animal nature. Are any of us good with disguises?
I can do this, and as a bonus action, I'll have my helmet come up over my face without using my hands.
Well, Lucky, it's a great thing, but the person I'm worried about disguising ourselves from is actively looking for you. Not really sure a simple mask closure is going to keep him from recognizing you.
You can't see my face. Should I paint it?
Your face or the armor?
Oh, I could paint my face. He'll never know it's me. He's got terrible sight.
To answer your question, Dusty, I find myself good at most things.
Well, I don't think that you need to be disguised in town. I was wondering if I went with you to speak with the sheriff, if someone else could potentially keep an eye on our other potential conflict in town.
I just felt it was important. You know, I'm good at everything.
Right.
And Virgil would nod to Dusty. I'll keep an eye. I'll keep an eye in town. If you want to go with him, we'll keep quiet. I think we can wait a few hours.
Virgil's the only is Virgil the only other one that didn't interact with the person looking for Lucky?
So Saul did not, but
That's
that
helpful.
doesn't do you
Well,
much good.
unless we can
in this
resurrect
current-
him.
I'm just saying. But no,
Speak with Ed.
Elias and Dusty both saw him, and I'm pretty sure he saw both of you.
Wait,
I know he saw Dusty.
Pretty sure
he saw
I
Dusty, but I
interacted
don't
with
think
him,
he
so.
saw Elias, right? Because Elias was invisible post shootout. Because I cast
was- this-
invisibility.
They
They
ran
on
into
him.
each other in a shop.
This
Yeah.
this was
Oh,
in the
got
store
it,
gathering
got it.
supplies.
Yeah, I think Elias was outside the shop. I don't think he was inside.
No, I was in the shop and I started mouthing off because
were?
he was
Okay.
being a dick.
Perfect. So then, yes, he knows both Elias and Dusty, and then obviously he knows Lucky.
So yeah, it might be safer if we want to go that route to have Virgil kind of keep an eye on this guy. If we want to go that route or kind of gather movements from him.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
anything
I feel like
that,
Virgil too, after knowing all of the information about Lucky, would definitely be like, I'll do what I need to do for Lucky. Don't you guys worry. You go do that. I'll be able to keep watch and kind of lay low for a while.
I think Dusty's gonna go with the new guy as long as I get my rest in. I'll go with the new guy and speak to the sheriff.
Yeah, all of you can have a long rest without any problem whatsoever. It's not the most comfortable night of sleep that you've ever had, but then again, you have been spending a lot of cold nights sleeping in a ruin. So it's kind of a step up, depending on how you look at it. Go ahead.
So I went to assuming I went to the hotel and then back in the morning to check
Mhm.
out with them.
Yep.
Did I happen to see or know if our turtle buddy is back in town?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're at the hotel.
Okay.
he and a crew of individuals that look like a collection of wanted posters, but they're wearing 10 badges. And there's another individual that is with them, more so with the turtle than the rest of the group. And he is an incredibly well-appointed individual, a man of means, if you will. And he wears a tailored pinstriped vested suit, has a very well-groomed mustache and beard of like shocking red hair. Walks with a cane, though it doesn't really seem like it's necessary. And his gaze is incredibly menacing's not quite the right word. Like pervasive. Like he sees everything. He has a hawkish kind of like gaze about him. 10 TIN. Guys with 10 badges. Yeah. That's a little silly. Just in case, something happens to one of them.
They've killed a lot of them.
Just body armor at that point. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, right.
Scale mail.
Can
That would be cool.
Could I do an investigation to see if I could have figured out who that was through the
yes, you
hotel
can do
staff?
investigation or history.
Well, they're both +4, so it doesn't really matter. Ooh, what is the? Let me double check my jack of all trades. Oh, yeah, it's automatic, so it doesn't really work. I think it's automatic. It's cocked. That's not really a good thing. Okay, 17 + 4, so 21.
21. Yeah, this is Tiberius Wellington. He is the cousin of Ignatius Wellington III, who is the owner of Wellington Rails.
What was his name again? Sorry.
Tiberius. Tiberius Wellington.
Sounds like somebody we need to kill.
His cousin.
Smooth skins. They all gotta die or something.
His cousin is the one who owns Wellington Rails, which is the one that is currently trying to build into Thunder Ridge here.
So I will pass on that the turtle is there, but I will hold off on telling the other group that the individual is Mr. Wellington at this time.
All right.
And I will swing in to pick up Dusty in the morning.
Okay.
Early in the morning. We rise at sunrise.
Early in the morning.
If you happen to go shopping and you give me different armor, then I would look different. That'd be a disguise.
It's not wrong.
Not wrong. Not wrong. We could also just find another 6-foot-tall rabbit in armor to walk around, and then you would be disguised in a crowd.
I have an idea for that. And then I'll cast mirror image.
It's a good start.
Absolutely. Then there's what, 1d4 of them?
Yeah.
Who was going to go see the new sheriff? Did we come up with that?
Sounded like that was tabled and then possibly left to the side. I don't know that that's still happening or not, but maybe.
Yeah, Virgil, you're keeping an eye on the turtle boy, right? So I'll let you know that.
Yep, I'm keeping an eye out for Morgrath currently.
Morgrath, I should write his name down.
And then also to point out, I'm also trying to keep an eye out on the new sheriff while I'm doing this, Jeremy. So like basically if I see the new sheriff out and about. I want to learn about who this person is more so. Even though I know them by name, I may not know them in person. I don't know if I've ever met Oscar in person before, but
That's up to you.
I would want to um I think I know of this person. I don't think I have met this person because I think he knows him well enough to know him by name and kind of maybe a little bit by reputation, but he doesn't know what he's like, what he is for the law, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, he would definitely, while looking out for Morgrath, also be kind of trying to eavesdrop or spy on the new sheriff and see what his tendencies are, see what he looks like, what his affiliations are, all that kind of jazz.
Okay. And you rolled a nat 20 whenever you were doing a history check to know who he was. So I think that it's even maybe as close as one of the people he is known for killing was somebody that you did know. Good or bad.
Got it. Yeah, good or bad. So there's like I know he's killed somebody that I'm familiar with.
Somebody that you probably would have thought, oh, damn, he got the better of that person. Okay. You know, game recognizes game kind of thing. Okay. So, Dusty and Marco, you make your way first light towards where the sheriff has a place, kind of on the outskirts of town, but not like where you have to actually leave the town in order to get to it. It's just kind of right on the fringe, and it's a modest little cabin. Looks like maybe 2 rooms as you kind of approach. You don't see any smoke coming out of the chimney. There are no lights on inside. It's very quiet as you approach.
I think we would have probably given her a minute or two from like first light, but yeah, I think I'll go up and knock politely.
You knock, and as you knock, the slight pressure from your fist is enough to have the door partially swing open, and it creaks as it does, but there is no answer.
Well, this seems like a great sign of things to come.
Didn't happen to stop by on the way into town, did you?
I hope you are not accusing me of any nefarious actions against this sheriff. She was a very nice lady.
Never met her. After you.
If you insist, and I think Dusty's gonna kind of very slowly with the tip of his knife is going to kind of push this door open. He's not necessarily brandishing the knife threateningly as he pushes the door open, but he is definitely ready in case something is amiss here. And he's gonna look around before he just kind of takes a step in, just kind of stick his head in and get the lay of the land before he tries to enter.
Okay. Would you say that you're trying to do so stealthily?
I think so.
All right, let's get a stealth roll. Because allegedly we roll dice during this game sometime. I think somebody even got up to go get some before we started. Might as well use them.
Let me make sure I don't have anything to do with stealth here, because...
Or I can give you a bardic if you want.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out there that my roll's not very good. Not that anybody's surprised by that, but...
I was picking up what you were laying down.
Well, I think I still will give you a bardic no matter what when you were going in there. As I was like, after you, I think that'll be a nice little time because I'm a dick, but I'm not that big of a dick. Kind of forgot I was a bard for a minute.
Like an
I
average
wouldn't
check.
recognize it. It
What's
can be
your-
after your sneak if you want. Doesn't matter to me.
What's your die for that, just in case?
D8.
Okay. You know what? I'll save that, and I think I'll let that 12 ride.
Yeah. As you're trying to be sneaky, I'll just be like, Sheriff!
Dusty, you're pushing this door open kind of with the back of your knife. And as you do so, the door hits something. And it doesn't stop moving, it just slows down. And after a moment, you realize what it was. As the empty, hollow sound of a glass bottle tips over, being knocked over from the door, and kind of like across the wooden floor before it comes to a stop. And it's not alone. It has company. There's probably 3, 4 empty bottles kind of scattered around this room. You can see the door that leads to the second room is wide open, and you see a boot sticking off of the edge of a bed, toe down.
I think I'll look back to Marco and just kind of gesture that direction. And I, against my better judgment as a player, I think that Dusty puts his knife away so that he's not looking threatening if this person is not harmed and has just simply drank themselves into oblivion for the night.
Go on ahead, wake them up. They don't know me. It would be weird if I was there. I'm going to stay on the porch just in case they are dead. I don't want to incriminate myself in the house.
And I think Dusty will proceed cautiously in. I think he's gonna try to find some liquid laying around somewhere, some container of liquid, in case this person isn't dead, to try to rouse them.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You can find a bucket. It looks like it was probably left from like maybe yesterday morning. It has like a little bit of water down in the bottom of it.
I will proceed to the bedroom with that in hand. I'm gonna try to make sure this person isn't dead before I just throw water on a dead body and make things worse.
Okay. You enter into the room, you know, the little bit of kind of morning light that is kind of like shining through the curtains that weren't quite closed all the way, kind of casting, you know, enough of a ray kind of across the room that it illuminates this room just a little. You can see that it is, in fact, the previous sheriff, the elven woman that went by Cyril, and she is face first, kind of askew across the bed, kind of like at an angle. Her feet, still in the boots, are literally just kind of like hanging off the side of the bed. Her arms just kind of out by either side, and her face just straight down in the comforter. The bed is not even turned down.
Do I see any signs of life, any breathing, movement, twitches, anything like that?
She didn't Mama Cass it, did she?
You stare for a long moment, like kind of letting your eyes kind of like adjust to the small amount of light in this room, you know, like the little motes of light that are kind of moving around, playing tricks on your eyes. You're pretty sure that you saw her breathe.
I'm gonna try to audibly wake her up first, shake if necessary, and if that doesn't work, then the water is going to be the last resort, just kind of dumping it all on her head.
Okay, you kind of call out. There's no response.
I'm calling out sheriff, by the way. I'm playing it that I don't know what's happened yet.
Fair enough. You kind of give another shout, a second, Sheriff. No stir.
I'll toss a bucket of water, I guess, and see if that rouses her.
Water splashes onto the back of her head, all across the bed itself, and in a moment, she sits up, turns around, and pulls her hand from beneath the pillow with the revolver in it, and the hammer is back and it's pointed directly at you. And she's kind of uses her free hand to kind of like wipe the excess water out of her face. She kind of looks at you, more than a little, kind of pissed off. What the fuck are you doing here?
Dusty's just kind of, Dusty's there with the hand up.
Sorry. Took a minute to remember why. You only got one. Oh,
and he's just like he's not necessarily surprised, but he does have that surprised look to kind of give the satisfaction and disarming kind of thing. And he's just like, I came here looking for you, Sheriff. Shame to see you in the state here. Did something happen?
She kind of wipes at her mouth again, all this excess water everywhere. She kind of looks down. Fucking bed is soaking wet now. The fuck? Who wakes somebody up like that?
Well, I did try other means. Yeah, they weren't very effective.
She relaxes the hammer on her revolver, kind of puts it back down on the bed next to her, stands up. Guess I had a little more than the drink than I should have.
Well, I had hoped some of those bottles were from previous excursions, but it looks like you can put them away.
She shakes her head. No, it was an expensive night.
You don't exactly strike me as the person that does this on the regular. Something amiss?
I could really use some eggs. I think eggs are a good idea. She kind of stands up, kind of starts making her way towards the kitchen and finds Marco there, apparently.
Sure.
The fuck are you?
Padre Marco Esquandora. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sheriff. Forgive me, I thought you might need coffee. And
Coffee sounds great.
Dusty was
Coffee
quite
sounds great.
concerned. So I
To
think
answer
we'll
your
make
question-
breakfast for her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna find a chair and right it, pick it up and stand it back up.
I have
and
no cooking skills whatsoever, by the way.
it's eggs and coffee. It's probably fine. I don't imagine it's gonna take too much to
She's
make
hungover. It'll be good.
exactly. As long as it's greasy and full of flavor, it'll be fine. She turns back towards you, Dusty. To answer your question, there is something amiss. I was fired. I'm no longer the sheriff of Thunder Ridge. I'm no longer needed. Well, I was offered a demotion. I could take a position as deputy under the new sheriff, but I told them to go fuck themselves.
The town had elections in the 2 days I was gone.
Elections. He's funny.
Some people think that. Others, not so much. From what I hear, the new name in town Didn't realize that name was being referenced as sheriff, but it doesn't seem to be a good name. I don't suppose that this Bennett is the one that took your place.
One and the same. Wearing a star on his chest as easily as he'd shoot your mother.
And
Well, it seems to me that with Bennett in town and a few of the other characters I have seen as of late, that you may be needed in this town more than you think you are.
What the hell am I supposed to do?
That is where I may be of assistance. As I set down the eggs.
Why you're gonna feed them your eggs? She says as she kind of like looks at this plate.
I am not quite that cruel of an individual. But
Good.
tell me,
She has
Sheriff,
another bite.
how does it feel knowing that a outlaw and a murderer now wears the star in your town?
How does it feel?
Hmm.
She kind of like looks around the room at like the empty bottles lying around on the ground. What do you think?
Natural response, but that usually kills the feeling. Or numbs it. I assume now that that's past. I won't mince words, Sheriff. I see a necessity for you in this town. Dusty is correct. I don't know you, but all I hear from what I see, what those bottles convey, is someone who perhaps at once had a faith in something greater than themselves. I'm not here to convert you, Sheriff. I don't care what you believe in or who you believe in. What I do know is that when those of us who have our faith tested get to our lowest points, we two options: stay in the bottle or stand up and actually fight for that thing you cared about, not for the people who put you in power. So now that you've drank your way through the evening, impressive by the way, what do you find your allegiance to? Your law, your town, perhaps Wellington's, or maybe even Samuel Braxton himself?
Dusty, there's a faint creak of the chair, Dusty's chair, kind of scooting back slightly, just enough to make a sound as the name Wellington's mentioned.
She says, Wellington owns this town already. He's already got his claws in deep. His cousin's here. The mayor's kissing his ass so hard I'm surprised that his lips aren't sewn to his asshole.
You seem upset. This will be prosperous for your town, won't it? All the good people making good money.
It's already done so well for our town. The population's boomed. We've had twice as many people. Half of them are cutthroats and outlaws and thieves. So I can't imagine what Thunder Ridge will become. If it'll even stay Thunder Ridge, it may be renamed to Wellington for all I know.
If only there was something we could do.
What exactly is it that you keep getting at, Preacher Man?
Well, Sheriff, I think there's an opportunity for us to maybe put you back in charge of this town. Put the people back in charge of this town. But before we go too far, forgive me out of semblance of caution, I might ask or inquire, in the transition period between the outgoing and incoming sheriff, did the little kerfuffle between Dusty and his friends happen to come up?
I don't particularly like having my name mentioned in the kerfuffle that I wasn't previously connected to.
I think if she wanted you dead, she would kill you, and I don't think she does, so. Sheriff can essentially. I had some individuals you may know reach out to me in a moment of weakness, and in perhaps the larger moment of weakness, I took them in, gave them shelter and guidance. Perhaps found out that one little rat friend of theirs had passed away recently and they had blown themselves up. It's a thing. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But they mentioned that they were afraid to come back because they had made a promise to a sheriff that they respected and they feared that they were suspect.
Are you talking about the giant vulture in that business at the farrier?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, the one with the skull above him sometimes, not at all off-putting. Yeah.
The Undertaker fella.
Mm. Seems he's found a bit of a change of faith on his deathbed.
Not that hard to believe. But
I do too.
if what you're asking me is whether or not I still plan on trying to persecute him and anybody else that was involved in that shootout, she kind of like shows on her shirt where there is no like badge. It's not my problem anymore. Apparently.
Be clear to Sheriff, when you get the star back, it won't be mine. I'm more curious as to whether or not Bennett knows.
Or
Well.
cares, for that matter. If he
Well, I
knows.
doubt he cares. I significantly doubt he cares.
He may. It was one of Morgraff's men that you killed. Morgraff and the sheriff and Wellington, they're all in bed together.
Ah, wonderful. That brings me to my second point then. You asked what I could do for you, Sheriff. Well, I'm going to be blunt. I can give you an opportunity to take back your town, take back some control, or at least try. If you care a shit about the convictions and those things that you cared about before, then yes, I will be clear also. I'm asking you to turn a blind eye towards a few other things in order to accomplish it. I've happened into this town not per chance, but on purpose. My name is Marco Escuandolas, Padre and Inquisitor of the Church. I follow and serve Sister Elsa, Her Lady of Radiant Penance. She has given me leeway to pursue a mission most personal to her and to me and my family. And that is bringing justice, not Caldera's justice, but true justice to the barons in charge of the railroad and any others who seek profit and individual gain at the cost of others. My methods are abstract, often counter to Braxton's justice. And so, if you're willing to look the other way and assist us, I'm willing to set loose myself and the what was the name of your group, Dusty? Tombstone Gang? What were you all?
The Puffin and Stuffin gang.
Oh, yes, Puffin and Stuffin, which they really should work on that name. I will not take that moniker. I intend to systematically eliminate the railroad's presence, Braxton's presence, Bennett's presence from your town. This is normally a bit of a formality when I inform you these things. I'm not asking permission. I'm simply letting you know.
She kind of like rubs the temples on the sides of her head just a minute and then like drags her fingers kind of down the sides of her face, kind of still, you can tell, trying to wake herself up a little. She said, "Shit, is it the Sabbath already?" She turns to you, Dusty. She said, "Because it has been a long time since I've heard a long, drawn-out sermon."
I like to
Yeah,
talk.
you know, when I first joined this group, I thought Virgil talked a lot, and I talked a lot, and Soul talked a lot, and then we met good old Marco here.
So what I'm gathering, and forgive me, my head's not exactly together all the way just yet, but what it sounds like you're saying is that the church is interested in the claim as well now.
No, I don't care at all about a claim.
And you may not, but the church bothered to send somebody all the way out to little old Thunder Ridge just on time when a very lucrative claim opened up. I find that a little suspicious in its timing.
Oh, it's perfect sense for its timing. Every time a claim arrives, the railroad, one of the other, sends somebody to go check it out. If the claim pans out, they send more and more individuals, higher individuals. As you said yourself, Wellington's cousin is here. That's why I'm here. I'm here to hunt.
Well, all right. I'll bite.
Excellent.
If you manage to somehow overthrow this very powerful, very organized group that desperately wants to get a hold of this place, I will gladly take my position as sheriff back, Thunder Ridge, and guide it through the uncertain future that it's going to have now that this claim has opened.
Alas, Sheriff, I wish it was that easy. You see, I can probably kill. Well, right now I would mostly focus on the Wellington, just to send a message. But it feels wasteful to just eliminate one before I go. Where I need you is to keep the town on your side, to keep the town off their side, and to keep the town from letting us get caught. Otherwise, hang back, enjoy retirement. But I think there's enough people here who listen to you. And maybe we don't have to do it all alone. Killing will do, though, of course. Wouldn't want you to sully your hands.
Says, well, definitely some folks in Thunder Ridge that ain't happy about all the changes that are happening, the way that they're changing, and whose thumb that it seems like we're going to be under very soon. So I don't think it's going to be hard to convince a few people to take that stand that you're offering. But you just have to understand that the people in this town who you're asking to stick their necks out on your behalf, they're regular people.
Oh, Sheriff, not on my behalf, on yours. I won't make any fancy speeches to them. I'm not going to talk to any of them. I don't exist to them. Me and these angels along with me here don't exist. That's where I also need help. Where would anyone go to hide where no one would go looking for them? Where's someplace we could go where, like, is there someplace, old mine, old haunted shed, something?
Well, there is the old Castilian monastery.
About that. That may actually tie back into the other claim and where these 4, 5, whatever it was they had, fumblefucked their way into it, blowing up the entire place. I was planning to hide out and kill Wellington and anybody else who showed up. So we seem to have They seem to have stumbled onto that already and, well, done what they do best.
Well, then, if in fact what you came to Thunder Ridge to do was to hunt, and it sounds like maybe you've already gone aground.
Been around a bit, but I haven't dipped my toes in yet. But yes, is there anywhere else?
She kind of shakes her head. I don't imagine many of them frequent the church. Church might be a decent place to lay low, but if you're looking for a place to hide in town,
I'm looking more outside of town.
well, there's not much outside of town. Claim, I suppose, but that seems to be a bad idea. It seems to be crawling with activity and interest lately.
Passes
The
will be
monastery.
snowed in. What about on the way into town?
There's Coalbox Canyon, but I don't think you're stupid enough to try to hide out there.
Hmm. Leave me, Sheriff. You'll learn how stupid I am.
Is that the canyon that I think it is, where the wagon went down and there's
It
supposedly
is, in
something it?
fact. Yep.
And that
There
is
may
where
or
I've
may
been
not be something living in it.
trying to pull teeth from for a bit. Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
let's go.
Dusty just kind of mentions we may or may not have had interactions with that canyon already.
Oh, wonderful. You know the way.
We may have already left tracks, so to speak, in that area.
And they didn't
Be-
find you? So,
That would be the only other place that I could think of that would be some spot that people would not go looking. If that's your plan, though, then you're crazier than I thought.
Sheriff, you have to. As I say, the plan will make more sense once you give up hope. But for now, I assume. Are you okay financially? Dusty, do you have anything to give the sheriff money? Something to help her out?
She kind of
Public
puts a hand
servant,
up.
after all.
Kind of puts a hand up in like contest. I'm just fine, thank you. I don't need your charity.
Not yet. But, wonderful. Well then, I have what I
As-
need.
As she puts her hand up and kind of turns down the charity, I guess she'll notice that Dusty's looking at Marco as if he's crazy for even suggesting this.
I get that a lot.
All right. And with that, I think.
One
go ahead.
last question before we wrap up our conversation here. You keep mentioning Wellington's cousin.
Hmm.
I don't suppose he has more than one notable cousin.
She kind of frowns, thinks for a second. Not that I've ever heard.
Well, that must mean that good old Tiberius is in town.
Did not
That
realize
is,
you
in
were
fact, his
acquainted.
name.
Let's just say we have a past.
Well.
Let's see if we can get you two talking again.
Well, if it comes to that, I don't believe that we will both leave wherever we're at talking.
I'm all right with that, Dusty.
Let's just say I'm a bit more invested in your plan now, Marco.
Hey, it's working already. Look, Sheriff, you're a good influence.
She kind of. Mm-hmm. She starts helping herself to a second cup of coffee. Okay. With that, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. Sit tight, and we will be right back with the second part of tonight's episode of Thunder Ridge. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from our break. We are here tonight with session number 11 of Thunder Ridge. This one is titled Beasts of Burden. This is an ongoing fantasy western game set in the world of Caldera. We are in the town of Thunder Ridge. A couple of representatives from our posse have met with the ex-sheriff, known as Searle, who is recovering from an all-night bender because she was removed from office. So, as Dusty and Marco have this early morning meeting with her, I believe the plan, aside from that, was Virgil was going to be keeping a vigil on the turtle and or possibly trying to put eyes on the new sheriff, Oscar Bennett.
Yep. Both of those things I would like to be doing.
Where is Virgil perching? What is his point of lookout?
Ooh. So I think that the normal places that he would visit, like the saloon, and like the bar house might not be like the saloon itself, and like the actual like brothel, those places now are like slightly off limits, because he would be recognized too much there. But I think there's a part of just like, honestly, he's now going to probably be over near like a general store or some sort of like one of even like the horse stables, anything like that. Something that would be inconspicuous, but like also wouldn't draw massive attention to himself. I think he even like leaves his hat somewhere on the perched out horse, so he's not recognizable, because he knows that silhouette of his would give it away. So he'll try to like just keep his head clear of any hat for right now.
All right. Nice and inconspicuous as a 6.5-foot vulture. Okay. Yeah, you can kind of hang out around, again, the general store that we've already established as a part of Thunder Ridge. And or, one of the stables that are in town, probably near the hotel. And there's enough activity in the early morning that, for the most part, you're probably going to go unnoticed. The weather is not hammering the way that it was last night. Like, there's not currently a snowfall, but it definitely looks imminent. So it's very overcast. Most people seem like they're kind of rushing around to try to finish up business so that they can try to be home before it does start. So you kind of keep an eye out and watch people go to and from what they're doing. At some point, you do see down at the jailhouse, you see two people make their way that direction. One of them is undeniably a turtle. You can tell that it is Captain Morgrath. Even from whatever distance that you are, his shape is, undeniably, turtle. And the other individual that you see with him is, in fact, Tiberius Wellington. They make their way down the boardwalk that kind of like hugs the side of the street. Is raised a little out of the snow and the mud of the main thoroughfare of the street, and they make their way into the jailhouse and shut the door behind them.
If that's the case, Jeremy, would you imagine that like this jailhouse would have some sort of like a stove or like a ventilation space that would like
would definitely
like
have like a wood burning stove. Yeah.
Wood burning stove, something.
It
So
could be could be a
while-
full-on fireplace even.
Yeah.
It's a stone building, so
So if I know that they're heading, if I watch them go into the jailhouse and I know where that is, and it is nighttime, right? We said it was like dusk when we were meeting.
no, yeah, you rolled into town at dusk. It is
We rolled
now
into town at
morning.
dusk.
Yeah.
Morning, okay. So I think, he's gonna try to be like as silent and as quiet as he possibly can, but I'd like to try and perch up on the rooftop and like see if I can listen into their conversation through either the chimney or through, whatever sort of vent is coming out of the jailhouse. I want to see if I can listen into their conversations from the roof.
Okay. Let's see how getting on the roof goes.
Okay.
There has been a heavy snow. I'm going to need an athletics from you.
Athletics, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can still fly up there, but
You do have flight.
I do have flight.
Okay, then you don't need to bother with
Okay.
athletics if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just like go down the alleyway that's near the jail cell, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna just in the dark of the alleyway, like the little shadow of that alleyway space, I'm gonna vault myself or like just launch myself with my wings up to the rooftop and just sort of like perch and
Okay.
skitter up to the
You give a little, wing buffet a couple of times, land on the rooftop. Snow's deep, but you manage to make your way over to the chimney. I'm assuming that you are trying to be stealthy.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's get a stealth roll, please.
So stealth is going to be. All right, that's actually not that bad. That is 11.
I love it when it
so-
surprises the player. Hey,
No, it's not that.
sucks.
It's not that bad with my bonuses. So that'll be 16 overall. I got an 11.
Okay. Yeah, you very carefully, very slowly kind of make your way over to the chimney, which is billowing out. You can see the steam and the heat and the smoke rising up out of it. As you approach, you can kind of like lean in towards it a bit and kind of give a listen. You hear bits and pieces of conversation because it's not like they're just shouting at each other. So you're getting little echoes here and there over the crackling fire down below. And you can definitely hear what sounds like conspiratorial talk. Tiberius, it seems like Wellington, is pissed that things have gone so poorly here. That they were expecting to be much further along in the process than they are. And that things are going to change now. Now that Morgraph is here, now that Bennett is sheriff, they're finally going to get this thing on track. Pun intended.
Okay. Once I've sat there for a bit and I gather as much as I can, I'm gonna slink off the roof and then just sort of skitter out of the alleyway and kind of like go about trying to just blend into the crowds. So almost Assassin's Creed style. Get off the roof, go into the crowd and sort of blend in and then walk away and then report my information later to the rest of the group.
Okay. Before you do, roll me a perception check.
Perception. Ooh, okay. That's good. Okay, that's an 18. Do I have additionals? It's +1. Okay, yeah, so 19 overall.
Okay. In particular, you hear Tiberius Wellington mention an additional name. He says the name Lord Nathaniel Mordecai. So the Unglarians, the people who won the war with the Castilians back in the east, and who have kind of been the spearhead of the push to colonize the Caldera Territory, the English equivalent, if you will. They are the ones that still sport titles like Lord, Lady. So if this isn't some kind of like nickname, if it's a legitimate title, then this individual would be an Unglarian noble, which would be really strange for one of them to be out this far west.
Okay, so that's the other little tidbit of information that I have overheard from that conversation.
Yeah, based on the role that you got.
Okay, I am definitely telling the posse all of that, and then also maybe seeing if Marco is familiar with Mordecai, like more so than Virgil would be, or if any of the rest of the party know more about it than he would.
Do I?
Maybe.
Oh.
Let's get a history roll.
I'm just adding that to my notes before I forget. That
Sure. Yep.
Let's see who we have.
Please
here
do.
On a history check. I've rolled good a couple times today, so probably not that great. Let's see how it goes.
Will the luck hold?
Oh shoot! There you go. 19 plus
it
4.
will.
So yeah, 23. Yeah, these are good dice today.
Okay. So yes. It's not like you've probably had direct interaction with him, I don't imagine. But you would know that Lord Mordecai is an appointee of the crown. So appointed by the actual king. Is he a king or a duke? I think he's a duke. He is he has jurisdiction over this part of the Caldera territories. It's like a formality. It's, again, the crown does very little as far as the Caldera is concerned. Their concerns typically are within their own realm. And they kind of leave the Caldera to the Mage Barons, which is how they have so much power over what goes on out here.
Remind me, is the crown aligned with the faith, or are they at odds?
It probably depends on which monarch is ruling. Kind of like
Currently,
the Holy Roman Empire and any given monarch.
Fair.
But as of right now, I would imagine it's kind of a lukewarm, you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you kind of thing. The nobility right now is very much in the lap of luxury. They just won a massive war like a generation ago, and so they're reeling from the influx of wealth and success that comes from that. So they're very much about throwing lavish parties, and they're known for being greatly out of touch with the people they rule over.
Got it. I will relay on, obviously. With an air that everyone should know this, so I'm like, of course.
Okay.
So are we all back together now?
Was there anything that Elias and or Lucky were getting up to this morning while those others were prancing about?
I think I spent some time using my artificial capabilities to craft my friend Dusty a full Jamie Lannister fake hand. And it even has a thing in it where his dagger that he can throw and come back to his hand can just mount right in there.
Hell yeah.
That's super cool.
Anything Elias is up to?
No, not really.
Okay, fair enough.
Elias was just kind of hanging out and listening to anything that's going on, but didn't really want to go bumbling around until we knew more of what was going on.
Understood. Kind of chilling like a villain at the church, maybe chatting it up a little bit with the old man, here and there, passing time. Okay. Let me see. Okay. I have something that I want to do before we end, but I think having y'all get back together and discuss what you want to do, what the plan is, etc. first makes more sense. So, I assume that you're meeting back at the church at some point.
Mhm. Good.
All right. At some point, the 5 of you are back together.
So, excellent. So Elias, do we know you've been there all day? Do you let us know or?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Elias, I need your opinion. My companion, Father, his name ends with like a
Darnilfu.
foo. Darnelfu. I was going to butcher that if I went from memory. My companion, Padre, yes,
Darnilfu.
Darnelfu. Is he someone who you can trust? Or do you think he's got different alliances?
Figured you talked to him all day.
Ooh, Jeremy, perception roll. I'm assuming.
This would probably be an insight.
Really? Can't be perception?
Yeah, perception's fine. We can do that.
Okay, if we did insight, it's a 14. Let's see. Perception. Yeah, we're going with insight. Great, cool.
Okay.
So 14 insight.
14.
So, yeah, you kind of study him throughout the day. I would say that probably the thing that strikes you the most is his ability to get around without being able to see. There's a few times where there's a close call, but for the most part, he seems to work very well in concert with this this flying squirrel that kind of stays around. And they seem to have a strong connection with one another. It's very much kind of a familiar animal companion type situation. You get the impression. And you see him more than once kind of go through the motions of a man of faith. He cleans the church. He kind of says his prayers in the morning as well as the evening. There's not really a lot that he goes into outside of that. He seems to be a fairly private individual. He doesn't seem overly pleased at the current circumstances as far as like the turning over in the town. But he also seems to kind of take it in stride. It doesn't seem like he's necessarily ready to do anything about it, kind of thing.
Gotcha. So since it hasn't really impacted him, he's not going to take any kind of action.
You get the kind of sensation that he might not be a man of action so much. It takes him a long time to kind of get around.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Elias. I assume you relay that on, or
Yes.
awesome. Cool. Yeah, so to the group, I guess Dusty, you want to fill them in on the sheriff? I would let them know. And Virgil, you said you let us know about Lord.
About the
Book
meeting
advance.
between Wellington and Morgrath, and pretty much the Lord, the conversation about the Lord, and the
Yep.
conversation about how where they are in terms of like what they plan to kind of do with the area.
Yeah, Dusty would have definitely filled in about probably everything, the way that it went down, like the way that we found the sheriff, our conversation, and just maybe not putting a lot of emphasis on the Wellington cousin Tobias, mentioning him but doing it kind of casually, not putting a lot of emphasis on it.
If I can, I think we need to be careful with the Wellington connection. I don't want to burn that bridge too quickly. I don't want to actually reach out to them and be nice to them. I'm just saying that it seems to make the most sense that we kidnap them later and try to get someone bigger like their uncle involved.
I have no qualms at all about kidnapping
Wonderful.
Tobias. I have some information that I would like to get from him before he is dispatched. I cannot, however, promise you that I will allow him to live long enough for ransom or a trap to be set.
I simply need him alive to bring in someone bigger. So keep pieces. That's all. Yeah. I do think we should leave the Lord alone. I don't necessarily know that involving the crown is something we wish to do, but if we can make the railroad look inept, that's a win. Excellent. So we just need to go set up shop in this box canyon that Dusty told me about. So I will try to set up. Oh, and I suspect we'll need supplies. It's going to be a long winter out there. I don't really want to eat horse.
I think that Virgil has the plan to stop off maybe before they leave, talk to Primrose, let her know about Soul, and then while doing that, take the time to gather supplies for the trip out.
Excellent, because I need you to actually introduce her to the father, or bring her here to the father also. They will be the way we get supplies in the future. Elias thinks the father can be trusted. I'll bring him into the fold. You need to bring in Primrose and the other ladies. Anyone else you can see who will listen to the sheriff in the long run. The intent is that the sheriff and those in town make the railroad look stupid, hide our tracks where we can. We hunt anyone in the railroad, your turtle friend as well, and capture Wellington once enough chaos is caused, and then when someone bigger gets here, we burn them to the ground. Or die trying. In all honesty, if we die in a nice fashion, then someone else will show up and finish the job.
Jeremy, what is Tobias Wellington's kind of personality like? Is he someone that I would think would remember specifically me from our past interaction? I imagine he's done what happened to me multiple times, so I don't know if something about my interaction would stick out just by seeing my face.
Yeah, I don't know that Tiberius is really a sentimental individual in the first place. And as you so aptly put, it's not like what happened to you was unique. I would imagine that you are a part of an amalgamation in his brain, and that you probably would not stand out much, other than just maybe the fact that you're a coyote.
Yeah, as long as I don't think there's a decent chance of him recognizing me, then I don't have any issue helping gather supplies if we're gonna have to go on another shopping trip or whatever.
Yeah, I think you would probably feel comfortable that he wouldn't recognize you any more than the pattern of the shit on the bottom of his shoe.
Perfect.
I like how you're happy about one of the greatest insults a bad guy can give you, and you're like, "You ruined my life," and they're like, "Who are you?"
Oh, he'll remember me later, hopefully.
Awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I would definitely want to, since they all feel like, and we don't need to do it as a scene, but I would want to bring the, assuming that the father of the mission there, or of the church there, is obviously like religious and cares about the town, but not necessarily about, let's say, Braxton's Law, which is also sounds like a nice, like, special, like, Law and Order offshoot. So assuming that, I'm basically letting him know that, there are those of us who don't that those of us in the church who don't like where the railroad is going and don't think that the sheriff should be ousted and are supporting her claim, and if he would help us out, that'd be great. In ferrying supplies from the prostitutes to the church so that we can send people to the church to go get them.
Let's make a persuasion roll.
Okay. I can't give myself bardic, so that's out. Real quick, let me double check. I don't think I have guidance anymore either. Can't do that.
While he is all about helping and being charitable and hospitable, being party to what could be hanging crimes might take a little bit of grease in the wheel.
No, this is where it's going to burn me too, because I've rolled good all night. It's going to come.
I'm sure Marco has a good bonus to his persuasion.
It's not great though. 7
really?
plus persuasion is 7 on top of that.
Oh
so
shit!
14.
Yeah.
But
You
At
must have
first-
got the dynamite back out.
I would cast Zone of Truth to let him know I'm speaking the truth.
Oh, he has no doubt. I don't imagine. I think he is probably reticent, but ultimately does agree. As long as, you're
The
not
biggest thing we
looking...
need from him is to be inconspicuous
Mhm.
and not draw attention, right? And to make sure that the eyes don't really fall on the church. That's it.
Yes. He would prefer that his church not suffer.
Right. Oh, I'm
He's
100%
not as
on
worried
board.
about himself, but
Marco's
the
also
church itself. Mhm.
Marco is a person of faith. It's just a bit of a twisted faith that
Exactly.
comes into it. So no, Marco is 100% on board with that. Excellent.
That's probably what ultimately wins him over, is making that known to him.
Yeah, I give him the whole backstory and stuff,
Mhm.
tell him the whole sob story. It's very performance based. Cool. Now I think it's
Okay.
just Chad telling Primrose that he killed the person who was going to take her away from all of this and everything. Yeah.
So, Virgil, you're stopping on your way out of town
Yep.
at the
Poor sweet
Queen's Block
Primrose.
to visit with sweet old Primrose. Prim, to those who know her best.
Yes.
As you enter the Queen's block, you see that she is sitting over on the far side of the room, and she has her finger kind of in one of the dwarven miner's beards, and is just kind of like twirling his beard like around her finger, very obviously like flirting heavily with him. And yeah, the rest of the girls are in, well, not just girls, the rest of the individuals are plying their trades as well, at the looking for openings at the billiard tables upstairs.
Okay. So I think there's a moment where Virgil would sidle up to the bar to be in eye shot of Prim, but like not. I don't want to be like completely just immediately walk up to her and be like, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
Sure.
I need her to come to me, and so that it's less.
Hmm.
So I think
You're
he
letting
would wanna
yourself be seen.
I'm letting myself be seen, almost like Strider, like Aragorn in like sitting at the far end table, light shining perfectly in the right spot so I can be seen without being like really noticed by the rest of the tavern itself.
Okay, yeah. Ellis, offers you a drink. See if you want to wet your whistle while you're here.
Thank you, Ellis.
Prim sees you before much time passes, and she very quickly, you can see, kind of becomes excited and kind of looks around the room, scanning real quick to see if Soul came with you. And then she kind of changes her tack a little and kind of like wraps up the flirtation with this dwarf, not in a rude way, but just you can tell she turns off the charm a little, kind of wraps things up, makes her apologies and excuses herself, and then she comes over to where you are and she says, "Oh, hi, Virgil."
Prim.
You back in town so soon?
Yeah, well, we might be heading out, but
Oh, you're heading back
so
out. Well,
I'm gonna need some supplies.
okay.
Um,
I can't stand anymore. It's all with you.
yeah.
Where's my little man at?
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I came to talk to you.
And you can see that his demeanor kind of sallows even more a little bit, and he
Did
kind
he
of like
find? Did he find someone else?
no,
Is he leaving me?
No, it ain't like that. Rim, it ain't like that.
kind of takes for everything that Virgil is, he is also like, I think there is an honorable man inside of this criminal somewhere. Somewhere in him there is that little speck of honorable nature. And he knows that for at least Soul, he can't lie to Prim in this moment. He can't be that kind of person who would just completely try to lie to her just to give her solace or closure. He wants to do it correctly. So he pulls out, I think, from like one of his vest pockets. Glenn, would there be anything on his person, like Soul's person, that would be very reminiscent, like a symbol or something that Prim would immediately ID you for?
Oh yeah, no. Let's make this fun. I would say that when you were going through his stuff, you probably found the letter that he was planning to use her anyways. for his own ends and means, but knew that she wanted a ticket out. Yes, that also. She wanted a ticket out and to go to the city in the east, right? So you would have found the introduction letter to the madam that I knew from that city, because that's where I was from, um, along with the ticket for her for when it like thaws out.
Okay. So you see he pulls out a letter. That letter has, I think, the sigil of like a sun for soul. Like he has some sort of like, I think he would have some sort of knowing soul and his legal jargon. He has a wax seal of some kind. Like this dude is not without that. So I think that there would be like a sealed, uh, a seal on it that she would also recognize, and he would kind of like slide the letter over to her on the bar, and then also slide the ticket. He didn't. We took on a job for him, and he didn't make it back.
I don't understand. There's only one ticket here. This
Yeah,
letter.
that's for you. You should read the letter.
So where is Saul? Did he already go on ahead? Will I be meeting him in Edgestone?
No. He kind of, you can tell it's hard for it for the first time. Usually, as a criminal, you don't grow attached to anyone. You don't. You try very hard to not grow attached to anyone. But being in a posse like Virgil is, with Elias and Lucky and Dusty, these men have become his family. And so you could see it's hard for him, but Priam, he ain't coming back. He's well, the job we did, he died.
He's dead?
Yeah. I don't know how best to say that to you, but he's gone.
Well,
And I tried to save him. I did.
there's there's magic that could bring him back.
Yeah, I tried that, and it didn't. I mean, if you still want to try something, I understand that. You're more than welcome to, but we tried that, and it didn't work. So, if you'd like to, his body's buried up on the top of the hill, out there near that mission.
In them ruins?
Yeah.
That dirty old place is falling apart. Why is he buried way out there? He should be buried in the cemetery. A nice marker on his grave.
I didn't want to bring him back to you like that.
Well, I suppose I understand that, Virgil. It makes it some sort of sense, but what am I going to do all the way out there at that mission? A girl like me? Out there?
I think that's why that ticket's out there.
I think that's why that ticket's for you. He wrote you a letter. You should read it.
Not sure I can bring myself to do so, but maybe at some point. Read it.
Yeah. He kind of like, you see him gesture as if to want to be consoling, but as a person who doesn't know how to be consoling in this moment, right? Like, he's feeling the feelings, but he's a person who doesn't know how to physically interact with the feeling of those feelings, because he is a bounty hunter and an undertaker, and also works for a faith that is basically the hanging of souls. So, like, I don't know what to.
You don't really have to display a lot of emotion, because Primrose is displaying enough for both of you.
Yep.
She is openly weeping, and when you show the slightest, even if it were pretend, bit of solace, she throws you into an embrace, like squeezing your head against her chest tight as she like balls into the top of your head, and just makes an absolute scene. At some point, she releases you and runs off into the back, where you're fairly certain you hear furniture breaking.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna just let her deal with that then, and I guess I'll ask her about the supplies later. And he'll finish up his drink and pretty much get ready to. He'll finish up his drink. And get ready to meet up with the others once obviously supplies have been actually gathered. He'll probably wait for her to kind of calm down, and then basically honor whatever she would want to do with about soul or for soul. He'll basically be her undertaker and funeral procession. He doesn't mind doing that for her.
I think she'd like that. A nice little plot right on the edge of town. Okay. There's one more thing that I wanted to do. Dusty, at some point, you are outdoors by yourself. What is it that Dusty is up to?
Does it matter when?
No.
I think that because we all had horses at some point, right?
Yes.
We should have rode in on horses. So I think, if not checking everyone's kind of saddle and tack, getting ready to leave, I think Dusty's at the very least checking his own, making sure his horse is saddled, good to go, tightening, straps and bits and everything.
Okay. Excuse me. At some point while you're doing this, you hear the faint sound of somebody whistling and strumming on a banjo.
I don't think Dusty notices at first. I think this is the first time he's been alone since hearing that Tobias was in town. And I think that he's replaying his past with Tobias in his head while he's checking this tack on his horse. And I think that's the only reason he's checking it for the 10th time at this point. And then at some point that the banjo and the whistle kind of breaks through this fog, and he kind of starts to look around for the source.
It's kind of one of those things where you notice it, and when you kind of put your attention on it, it seems to have gone away. And whenever you kind of go back to what you were doing, you hear it again, and it keeps sounding like it's not as far away as it should be, because like there's nobody else in the stable with you. It sounds like it's coming from somewhere else in the room. And about the fourth or fifth time of that, you've kind of pinpointed it in a direction towards the back of the stables. And if you kind of make your way in that direction, you could have sworn that you just saw like the blink of a firefly in the back of the stable.
I think I'm gonna investigate and see if I can find out what's going on. If for no other reason, to make sure I haven't lost my mind.
You kind of round the last stall. You know, there's like separate walls for each of these stalls with these individual horses. And kind of as you round the last one where this firefly seems to have kind of like flown out from, you see at the back of the stall that there is no wall for the edge of this stable. It extends out further than it should, and it's open to the outdoors, except this is not Thunder Ridge. You can feel hot, moist air coming from that stall, and you can see what looks like a swamp with buildings built on stilts, and you can hear the chirping of frogs and a myriad of insects. And you can see that there are that is night, and there's a heavy fog bathed in moonlight on the other side, and you can clearly hear somebody whistling and playing the banjo.
Hey, Glenn, is Bubba's Bayou Bordello.
It is. It's great. I actually want to steal that for my game.
I think Dusty stops for a moment as he kind of takes all this in. And then after 20, 30 seconds of just staring and wonder, he just starts walking forward and kind of walks closer to this music that he's hearing.
You do so, and every step that you take feels warmer and warmer. It's definitely kind of a very hot, humid atmosphere that seems to be on the other side of this threshold. And as you kind of approach it, you can't see where it's coming from, but it's definitely somebody not far on the other side that is playing. You hear, a few strums of a song, and then a voice kind of stops and says something kind of quiet, as if they're speaking to somebody directly next to them, and then you just hear this like unhinged laughter, but you only ever hear one voice.
Dusty's just gonna keep anytime the music stops, he stops. Anytime the music is happening, or the whistling's happening, he's trying to get a bead on that sound, and he's trying to follow it.
Okay, you absolutely can. You step in to this strange place, this strange other world, and you follow the sound of the banjo until you see an individual that's sitting on a stump, cross-legged, and he's dressed like a homeless person. He has a strange top hat that has some kind of unidentifiable like fangs or teeth kind of woven into the hat band. His his clothes are kind of tattered and torn, or especially around the hems. The boots that he wears look like they're mismatched. He's wearing a red bandana kind of around his neck. He's got some strange fetishes kind of like on his wrists. Very much looks like it's made of bones, whatever bracelet it is that he might have. And he's got a cigarette in his mouth, a hand rolled, that never seems to diminish as long as he sits there and smokes it. You can clearly see on the only part of his face that you can manage to see is a 5 o'clock shadow. And he plays on this banjo that has a face on it. And as he strums, he'll stop and he'll say something kind of quiet under his breath. And the banjo will go just laugh, but never says anything. As you approach, this man smiles from underneath the brim of his hat. And he says, "Well, there you are, Sheriff. I never thought you'd get here. Why are you being shy?"
You seem to know me. I don't believe I know you.
Oh. We're doing names now, yeah? Alright. You can call me the Grinning Man. He smiles real big. The banjo goes.
It doesn't really feel like a name to me, but
Well,
that's
where
what
I'm
you
from,
prefer to
names are very serious business, y'all. You don't just go giving your name to everybody. Not that easy.
Would this be where you're from?
Close enough. Right about here, yeah. The banjo kind of.
Where would here be exactly?
Oh, my, you got lots of questions, yeah. How about the right question? How about what it is I can do for you?
What can you do for me?
Well, there's a certain party that I represent that may be able to bring back a certain love of your life. Certain roles of your own. Strums on the banjo.
I think Dusty is dumbstruck at that. I don't think he has words. I think he just stands and stares.
No more questions? You had so many right before on y'all.
Well, that is a bit of a shocking statement there. Kind of just getting right to the heart of things, I suppose.
Oh. It's always better to get straight to the point, I think. Hmm?
Well, in that case, I suppose that this service that you're saying you can, or your employer can provide is not going to be free.
Oh, ain't nothing in this world for free, y'all.
What would it cost me?
Oh, nothing much. It's a simple thing, really. Keep strumming on the banjo. I believe it's something you already planning on doing anyhow. You know that, Tiberius?
Very well.
Good, good. I need you make sure that he don't get what he want. He don't succeed at putting this railroad in, you know?
That's all that you require to put my life back together and right the worst wrong that has ever happened to me.
Well,
Seems like a
now that you
trifling price to
mention it,
pay.
the scale may be a little out of balance. So, let's call it a future favor, yeah?
If you can do what you truly say you can do, you have yourself a deal.
Good, Sheriff, good. All you got to do is put your name right there. And he kind of like moves his chin just a little. And as you turn around, there's another stump. There's a piece of paper that unrolls itself. You can see that there's a quill with a very sharp looking point on it. You don't see any ink.
I think Dusty has heard stories of contracts like this. Not anything that's believable, not anything that's trustworthy, legends and tales, and I think he kind of thinks it's a joke at first. So he waits a moment and um, then realizes that it's not. And once he realizes without hesitation, he will prick his finger with the quill and sign.
When you prick your finger with the quill, it thirstily fills itself of your blood, and you have plenty to sign the contract with. And as you do, the grinning man says, "Good, Sheriff, good. All right then, friend, we'll be in touch. You be careful now." And the banjo adds. And as the laughter fades, you find yourself standing alone at the back of these stables.
Dusty stands there for a moment and then mutters to himself, I hope that wasn't a dream, and I hope that I can really get my rose back.
I think that's where we're going to go ahead and call the session. All right. Lots of moving parts. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we got to some of the reveals that we got to in the session. So very much, very, very, very pleased with this. I'm going to pass things back over to my players so that they can give any parting words that they'd like before we call it an evening here. And we're going to start in reverse order with Chad the Second.
Ooh. Yes, the other Chad, and do all the things. If you're here on YouTube, do all the thingies, the like, the subscribe, and all the you can support him up on the thingy with the stuff. You can do that. And then you know what? I found Jeremy a long time ago, but I was the I think I was the first customer on Start Playing. So, you know what, guys? Get on there. You can get in there too, and get in one of these Jeremy games. Hopefully there's like a one shot or something, and you can jump into his mind for a minute and probably die in the process too. But there's death saves for that. Yeah, get a one shot that turns into 9 sessions or something like that. But he doesn't mind then. But um Yeah, hopefully I don't think he could ever exhaust his imagination. So as you can see, this is what we got to play in. So you could do the same thing, if you're not rolling dice and not that some of us did, but you don't need to. It's a role-playing game. Doesn't mean you have to roll, okay? So I loved it. Thank you very much. I love the intertwining of our backstories. Like, that's why they're there, right? Like to be able to use against us. I mean, so we can revisit. Yeah. But it's a pleasure as always. And if you didn't catch before, like Absolute Tabletop is a great way to get into some games like this. Or you just get some of your friends or some other people. Like we're in different states, different time zones. So, you could do some of this yourself, but it was a blast. I appreciate it. We'll see how long Lucky can be, or Laz can be lucky. So,
Yeah, man, absolutely. I second the shout out for Abtab. Fantastic group of people full of incredibly creative individuals who also have formed a really cool little community that's even more than a support group of the company itself, which is really amazing. I've had the distinct pleasure of getting the chance to meet several of the individuals from that group in person several years running. We formed a lot of very long-lasting friendships out of that. And yeah, it's been a very, very good group. And it's led to a lot of fantastic gaming, which is, I mean, even better. So yeah. Oh, who'd we lose?
Uh-oh.
We lost Chadley.
Come back.
Yeah. We're gonna hop on down to Glenn. I'll shift you over here in a second.
I'm not going to. I'm just right. So first of all, thank you, Chad, for getting in all of the plugs and sponsors. We don't have sponsors, but they would be sponsors if they could. So they sponsor in our hearts. And I'll use this time instead. I was gonna talk about, I'll sing the praises of Chad for the Virgil and Primrose, like with us cracking up in the background, he was able to maintain that as serious. So please, hopefully you see this, Chad, other Chad, Chad 2, Chad Prime, whatever. That was great. Sorry that I was not helpful in that at all, I'm sure, because I was losing my shit at watching how that happened and cracking jokes on the side. Sorry, everybody. And Nathan, you're equally guilty for that one. And then also the scene at the end with your backstory and that part and the new Eldritch being that we have someone in the party promised out to. Awesome, amazing scene set up for that. So loved it. Thank you everybody for saying yes to doing another game with Jeremy and this group, because I love it. And thank you, Jeremy, for setting this up and running it. Because love it also. It's a ton of fun and you never know where it's going to go. Except for now, we know it's going to go to Todd.
Right.
Beautiful
Me?
segue.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Nicely done. You should be in radio or something. Yeah, this was awesome. I love playing these games with these guys. Like Laz was saying, we all met through Jeremy and we found him on Start Playing. So if you want to find a game, go find Jeremy on there or just get out there and play a game in general.
Hell yeah, man. That's the best advice. If you want gaming, you got to get out there and get gaming. Like, if you can't find somebody who's going to run a game, then run a game. But there's plenty of people out there. A lot of really, really fantastic folks. I did not know exactly what I was getting into when I decided to dip my toe into doing professional game mastering, and I got extremely lucky in finding a group that is not only as generous of players and people as all of you are, but also people that I genuinely enjoy spending, time with. It's 3 or 4 hours of a time sitting down, laughing, and allegedly rolling dice. So, yeah, man, thank you. Next up is Nathan.
Great session as always. I I I wish we could do Caldera more often. I love stepping into these characters' shoes and exploring. And I know sometimes when we have to miss a session or two, it takes a second to get back into the boots per se. But once we get rolling, I never know what we're gonna do next. I never know if it's gonna be murder hoboing, if it's gonna be an entire session of role play, if we're gonna roll any dice at all. I mean, we don't really need dice as long as the story's good. But and now I've met some fae, some being of some kind, and struck a deal with. That surely that won't come back to haunt us at all. And it's nothing to worry about. I made that deal, right? It won't affect you guys. But no,
Yeah,
it's
not at all.
fantastic. I love the way that Jeremy's able to weave everybody's stories together and even just drop hints here and there in one session and make the next person on the chopping block is like, what is my character coming up next? Is my backstory coming into this world next? Am I gonna have to deal with this? I love it, and I love playing with you guys. I'm glad you guys accepted me into the fold and let me scratch my Caldera itch when I expressed to Jeremy that I wanted to play again. And I'm glad to be able to play kind of an outlaw-ish character. I definitely played the stereotypical white hat cowboy in the one other Caldera game I played, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm enjoying exploring this side of things. I can't wait to play again. I can't wait to see what terrible decision I made tonight, and I can't wait to get my rose back and potentially fill you guys in on more backstory next time. Oh yeah, and I forgot my obligatory plug.
Big old critties. There you go. You can get one for yourself. That's right. What is it? Spring? Teespring?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's the link in the description down below. Yeah, man. Love it. Absolutely love it. This character was somebody that I had planned for a little while. This NPC. When I found that artwork, I was like, God, what a great, cool, fun NPC. And I literally had been searching for a place to drop him in. And I had the thought recently about Dusty would probably be a good candidate. So I'm really happy that we got to that scene. And thank you for signing the contract.
Tonight was the perfect night for it. I mean, with Dusty still trying to deal with Soul dying and the mess that could be coming of Thunder Ridge on top of finding out today or the day before that Tobias is in town. It was perfect. Good.
Yes, and having the scene with Primrose and Virgil was fantastic as well. Having y'all come across the sheriff in a hangover stupor, kind of getting exposition that way in a slightly different fashion. You've kind of gonna do about it has me very excited. I think we're kind of starting probably what is going to be the last act of the story. It kind of feels like we're very much approaching the climax rapidly. So yeah. Oh, and the possibility of bringing Kolok's Canyon back into it. I'm thrilled. So thank all of you very much for being just incredibly wonderful players, and again, just genuinely cool people to hang out with for a while. So much love. Okay, speaking of much love, thank you to anybody who watched along with us as we played, or if you are tuning in at some point down the road in the future. Thank you very much for stopping by and spending a little time with us. It really does mean a lot to me that people come to the channel and find something worthwhile here, find entertainment in what we're doing, and the shenanigans that we get up to around here. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Do all of the stuff that YouTube likes to see. It helps the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the link around, talk about it with your friends. If you like the combination of Western and fantasy, spread it, talk about it, run it. If you want to run Caldera for your friends, that'd be amazing. What else? Remember that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind, and the world really, really could use more kindness in it right now. Things are spiraling out of control, it seems like, on a day-to-day basis. And kindness can go a long way. You never know the battles that people are facing in their private life, and a little bit of kindness sometimes can make all of the difference in the world to someone. And if you can give that and it costs you nothing, and it could mean that much to someone else, then again, that's how we make this place a livable place. That's how we make the world better, is through interactions like that, one at a time. So go out there and be kind. Unless you're a fucking Nazi. In that case, you deserve to have your teeth kicked in. So I think that's all I have to say today, at least. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.